going to do pages 713 today to 718. Put your name on it and make sure you put a staple in it. All right, so today we're going to be focusing on estimating products of fractions. Again, when you have products, you're multiplying. And the essential question, as always, is what strategies can be used to multiply and divide fractions? And of course, today it is for multiplying. All right. So you've already estimated products of decimals using rounding and compatible numbers. All right, so you can use the same strategies to estimate products of fractions. So we're going to use compatible numbers to make things just work easier so that we can, because again, we're estimating, so we don't have to have exact answers today. So math in my world, we have example 1, about 1/3 of the containers of yogurt in a box are strawberry. If the box contains 17 containers, about how many containers are strawberries? So what we're doing is we're estimating 1/3 times 17, or 1/3 of 17, like we did yesterday. So we're going to use compatible numbers. Now I see this 17 doesn't work well with this 3 here. Okay, it doesn't work well. So what we want to do is we want to find a number that will be compatible with, will work well with it. And I know 3 times 6 is 18, right? So that's pretty close. So I'm going to use 1/3 times 18 in that spot there. Okay. So then we do like we did yesterday, where we complete the bar. Remember we did the bar diagram here. We put 18. We have the 3, so we split it into 3 sections down here, like we did. And then we know, of course, 3 times 6. So you have to put 6 in each of these boxes here. And now we know that this is 1/3. So we have basically 1/3 times 18. So how many yogurt containers are represented in each section? Well, there's 6, right? So 1/3 times 18 is just 6. So there's about 6 yogurt containers of strawberries. Again, we're just doing estimations today, so don't have to have exact answers on these. Let's turn the page. Okay, now we have 2 fractions. All right, so what we're doing is we are estimating and we're rounding on these. Okay, we're going to round to the nearest, like we did the last chapter. You know how we did our best estimate. Which one is it closer to a half, a 0, or a 1? So on this, we're going to look at, and like they did it on a number line here where they put 2/5, because remember 2.5 over 5 would be a half, so that's pretty close to the half marker. So that's where that 2/5 is going to be a half, because that is close to a half. And then the 6/7, we're going to round it up to, of course, this top number is close to the bottom number, so that's just going to be a 1, and that's how they got the 1 right here. All right. So when you multiply anything times 1, you're going to get, right, you're going to get the identity property. So you're going to get 1/2 as your answer. So 2/5 times 6/7 is about 1/2 by using that method. Down here, we have mixed numbers. Okay. And again, it says here we're going to round each mixed number to the nearest whole number. So we got to look at these fractions right here, right? We got to look at the fractions and we got to decide, uh, to be a half, this would be what? 3.5. So we're getting closer down here to the 0. So we're going to round this one down to 7. And this is 7/8 right here. You can see it's pretty close to a whole. So we're going to round that one up to a 4. So now all we have to do is multiply 7 times the whole number of 4. And you notice how they got the little squigglies? That just means it's about. So that's about 28. So 7 and 2/7 times 3 and 7/8 is about 28. Guided practice. We're going to estimate the property or the product of 1/2 times 25. And we're going to use compatible numbers here. All right. You can do this a couple ways. You can go up or down, doesn't matter. But you want to get a number that you can divide evenly by 2, and you can't really divide 25 by 2 and get a whole number. So we're going to round this 25. You could either do a 24 or 26. So we're going to go ahead and do 24. All right, so now if we did this, we divide this up into 2 spots. Remember 24, and we divide it into 2. Had to answer that phone. So again, you have the 2, that's why we split it into 2s here. So we have 12 and 12. And again, one of those would just be 12. So half of that is about 12. So you get your answer of 12. This little dude down here, explain how you would estimate the product of 4/5 and 5/6. Well, again, you would round this one to a 1, and you'd round this one to a 1, right? Because you're just going to round those because it says an estimate, which would be 1 times 1, right? All right, let's look at this right here. All right, let me clear it up a little bit there for you. All right, so we're estimating each one. So 3 doesn't go into 13, does it? But it will go into 12, right? So there we go. We just used a compatible number with the 3. So we're taking our 12 and we're going to split it up into 3 boxes, like so. So we know that this is going to be 4, 4, and 4, right? So we need to have 2 of these, 1, 2. So what is that? You get 8 as your answer. Pretty simple, right? 3 doesn't go into 20, but it will go into 21 because I know 3 times 7 is 21. So we take 21 and we're going to split that up into 3 sections. And I know 7 times 3 is, and we only need one of those. So that's just going to be 7 as our answer. 2 doesn't go into 33, but it will go into 32 or 34. I'm going to go ahead and use 32. Okay. So we take 32 here, and we're going to divide that up into just 2 sections right here. So there's 2 sections, and I know 16 and 16 is 32, and we need to know how many one of those is, so that's just 16. Okay. 17, now they just flipped it. 4 doesn't go into 17, but 4 will go into 16. All right, so we take 16, we divide 16 into 4 sections. I know 4 times 4, well, what's one of those? Just one of them, right? 4. Now we have some fractions. Fraction times a fraction. Well, this one right here is pretty close to a 1, right? Because that 7 is close to the 8. And then this one right here, the 1/9 is pretty close to a 0. When you multiply those, you're going to get 0. So your answer is going to be pretty close to the answer 0. 3/5. Well, 3/5 is pretty close to a half, right? Because you'd have 2.5 over 5 to be a half. So that's pretty close to a half. And then this one, again, top number and bottom number are pretty close. So it's going to be a 1. So 1 times, anything times 1 is itself, right? So 1/2 is your answer. 1/6, that's pretty close to, again, far away, right? So it's going to be 0. And then you get 5/7, which is pretty close to each other. So we're going to go ahead and go with a 1. So again, your answer is going to be pretty close to a 0. A lot of these you'll see are just zeros on those. 1/4 is pretty close to 0 because the top number and bottom numbers are pretty far away. These are close to one another's, right? So that's going to be a 1. So you're going to get 0 as that answer. Now we're mixing it up. We have mixed numbers here. So 2/3, pretty close to one another. So we're going to round that up to a 3. 1/6, 1 is pretty far away from the 6. So that's going to be 0, or we just keep that a 3, right? We won't change that any. So we multiply that together and we're going to get 9. Just estimating is all we're doing, folks. This one right here, 4/5, top and bottom's pretty close to one another, so we're going to change this to a 7. Again, top and bottom's close, we're going to change that to a 6. And we get 7 times 6 is 42. All right, this one's pretty far away, so we're just going to keep that a 10. These are pretty close to one another, so we're going to say that's close to a 1, so we're going to add it to that, which is a 5. And we get 10 times 5 is 50. And then 6 and 7 is pretty close to one another, so we're going to round this up to a 3. And then these are pretty far away from each other, so we're going to say that's a 0, so we're going to keep this a 6. So 3 times 6 is 18. All right, pretty simple, not too hard to do. Let's do these last two here real quick. A cup of chocolate chips weighs about 9 ounces. The recipe calls for 3 3/4 cups of chocolates. chips, about how many ounces of chocolate chips are needed. So, well, 9 stays, right? That's fine. We don't do anything to that. This one right here, we look at the 3/4. That's pretty close to being 1 because those are close to one another, right? So we're going to change that to a 4, which makes this 36 ounces is what they'll need. Isabella sent out 22 invitations to her birthday party. If about a fourth of the invitations are for her school friends, about how many invitations are for her school friends? So we have 22 basically times 1/4. Again, it says about how many, so we're estimating. So we're going to get a 4 that works close to. um, 4 doesn't work with 22, so let's say it works well with. Let's go 24. Okay, so we're going to split 24 up into 4 sections, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 times 4, right, equals 24. And then we have the 1 right here. So just one section. So it's going to be about 6. Now the book says 5 because they use 20. You can go up or down. It doesn't matter. I'd rather order more of the invitations or have more just in case. All right. Like I said, that was a fairly simple lesson. Write a real world problem involving the multiplication of two mixed numbers whose product is 14. Um, you know, these, I don't know. I'd rather you learn this first and master this stuff here before we start worrying about this stuff down here, these hot problems, to be honest. So master these first, and then we'll worry about that on the word problems. All right, on your homework, again, find when it says estimate, if you need to use compatible numbers like I would on this one, I put a C right here for compatible. These right here, I'm just going to round to the nearest. Round to the nearest. All right, use your work down here if you need it. On the back side, you're going to use this chart right here on the side. It says suppose there's 53 students in the survey, so you're going to basically take 53 and times it by whatever you need over here. All right, so and change it to 100 over here or whatever. Shouldn't be too bad for you. Just take your time, read the problem. If you got any questions, like I always say every single video, come see me if you have any issues. And good luck on it, and thanks for watching.